What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, your place for the Unfiltered experience, where we bring you unfiltered conversations designed to move your confidence and your courage and your life forward in a kick-ass manner so that you're living every day, not just existing in it. I'm Christopher Rausch. I am your host, and normally I'm joined by, where's Scott? There's Scott Goyette. Scott, where are you, Scott? Are you in there, Scott? What's up? Ladies and gentlemen, I have some bad news. Bad news. Scott is enjoying himself in the country of Croatia right now, so he is unable to be co-hosting here on this particular episode tonight. We wish Scott all the best. He's enjoying some downtime, traveling some places in Europe. He sends his best regards. Hope you guys are all doing amazing, and we're going to be back here again next week. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you guys always coming to hear the Unfiltered experience, whether you're here on the video cast, live, or on the replay, or on our podcast, wherever you get podcasts sold. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, all those different things. Just go in there, type in Unfiltered experience, and you will find it. Bam, you'll see the logo, and you'll like, there it is. There's the key to success. There's the key to longevity. There's the key to my happiness right there in the Unfiltered experience. So we appreciate you guys being here. Hope you're having a fantastic week. Hope you're looking forward to a fantastic weekend. And for my brothers and sisters over the pond, you guys are already in your Saturday. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend already. We got an amazing show planned for you tonight. And I'm still fighting this cold, so excuse me if I sniffle and kind of clear my throat every once in a while, but I don't want to miss having this particular broadcast with you guys. Every once in a while, we bring you a replay because we want to highlight some of the amazing shows and amazing guests that we've had in here. And most of the time, we do these things live, no matter whatever's happening. And even if Scott can't be here, I can be here. If I can't be here, Scott can be here. And that's how we roll. So thank you guys all for being here. And as always, I just want to give here just a little plug. I'm a part of an amazing organization called Help Heal Humanity. Let's put this up there, helphealhumanity.org. Check it out. I have been on the board of directors for this amazing organization for a couple of years now. I've known the founder and the CEO, Serena Buffalino, for a few years now. And she is such an incredible person that I said, whatever I could do to support your organization, please let me know. And originally her board was set in Canada. And she says, hey, we're thinking about doing some stuff in the United States. Would you want to be a part of the board? And I said, absolutely, bring me on. I'm excited for this. As a former 7th grade homeless dropout, homelessness, at-risk kids, food insecurities, things of that nature, getting our kids educated, helping them develop life skills, all those different things are right in my wheelhouse. So I joined the organization a couple of years ago, and it's been nothing short of miraculous. A lot of our focus in the recent years has been in Haiti. And if you've read the news or listened to the news recently, Haiti is going through some unbelievable devastation right now, but still through it all, Help Heal Humanity is still feeding these kids. We're not able to really send them to school right now because some of the gang activity, but we're trying to get them there at least 3 days a week just to feed them, because the food insecurity in Haiti right now is ridiculous. They're expecting even 1 million lives potentially to be lost due to food insecurity in Haiti. And it's just a devastating situation. So we built a school there. We're now looking at building a trade school there so the kids can go and learn trades, and we can shift the trajectory of what's going on in that particular country. And we need you. We need you, ladies and gentlemen, boys, Bob, Janelle, Sally, Jeff, all you guys out there. We need you, whether it's $5, $100, whether you can sponsor a child. When you get value out of the show, we've been, we're on show number 101. Today's 101. I didn't get to celebrate show 100 with Scott. We had a Thanksgiving episode last week. 101 episodes. You think about it, 101 hours of amazing content here. We bring you every single week, whether it's just Scott and myself, or we bring on a guest. We've had some phenomenal conversations. We've had Jimmy Dennis, who was on death row for 25 years, wrongly convicted and got to be set free. We heard his story. We got the incredible Tracy Schmidt. She has no arms, no legs, and she's got more tenacity than most of us with able bodies. And the list goes on and on and on. We've had Forbes Riley on the show. We've had so many different people on the show. So please take that information and put it to use. But more importantly, at this point, we need your donations. We need your help. So when you get value out of this particular show, if it's $5, again, $10, $20, whatever it might be, send it over there to helphealhumanity.org. Send me a screenshot of it. And depending on what it is that you donate, I would like to even pay you back with a little bit of my life coaching. So if you donate $200 or more, I will gift you an hour of my coaching time. And that way you can get set up for 2023, which is something I'm going to be talking about on my Tuesday night show coming up next week, is how we end out a year and how we start beginning planning for the next year. And that's super important because a lot of people don't do that. And then they wonder why they're not achieving their goals because they never really set any goals. So we're going to be talking about that on Tuesday night, Raw and Unscripted show at 7 p.m. You guys know where to find all that information. So www.helphealhumanity.org. I appreciate you guys for supporting this amazing organization. We got Lee in the house. What's up, Lee? He says, good evening. Happy Friday. Thank you, brother, for being here. I appreciate you. Hope the dog that you found got adopted out. Such a beautiful pup. Lee's an amazing guy. He's got a lot of heart. And he found a dog the other day and he's like, hey, can anybody help me out with this? And so tonight we also have Robert Brooker in the house. What's up, Robert? I got an opportunity to be on a men's mental health panel with Robert. Was it this week? I think it was this week. Time is flying by so fast. I can't keep track, but we were on a men's mental health panel, which is a tremendous conversation. And I always appreciate Robert being here and supporting both of my shows, the Raw and Unscripted show and here on the Unfiltered Experience. So thank you, Robert, for being here. And Lee says here, looks like she has a new home. Okay. I thought it was a he. I incorrectly guessed. And she has a new home, which is amazing. And speaking of animals, I'm just going to talk to you about this real quick. So I had something happen to me today. You guys have been following the show for a while. You guys know about 1.5 years ago, I lost my cat Whiskers. He was an indoor-outdoor cat. He ran away or he got eaten by a coyote. I put signs up all around the neighborhood for months and months and months. I was waiting for somebody to call me. I was cruising around all the neighborhoods on my bicycle. I'd go out for 2 hours a day searching for this cat. He was an amazing cat. I mean, such a personality. And I've had cats all my life. You guys know me. I grew up with a mom that was a crazy cat lady. And I finally gave up. We adopted 2 new kittens last year. They're amazing. One of them is sitting right here on my desk. I call him my associate producer. But what's crazy is yesterday, my next door neighbor texted me and she says, hey, my daughter found this on this app. And she says, it looks like your lost cat. And this is 1.5 years later. And this daughter doesn't even live next door. And so she just remembers seeing the signs that I had plastered everywhere. They sent me a copy of the ad. And I was like, Normally people send me stuff like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can tell immediately it's not him. Looked exactly like him. So I'm going through all this stuff. They didn't leave a phone number. So I actually drive over to the neighborhood. It's 3 miles away. I drive over to the neighborhood last night at 10 o'clock at night, going to search for my cat. I'm like, my cat's here. I'm going to find him. And unfortunately, didn't find him last night, but I was super excited. I figured, okay, I went back on that app. I had to download it. It was like a door ring app or something like that. You know, the Ring doorbell. It's a specific app for that. It's not like Nextdoor. So I figured I went back there and posted. I'm like, this is definitely my cat. I know it is. I blew up the picture and I could see the the coloring on the paw. I'm like, it's exactly the same. This is my cat. Go back over there today. I make like 10 signs. I'm going to put them around the neighborhood if I don't find them. And then I find a sign that says found cat and the phone number's on there. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so amazing. I go run back to my truck. I nearly tripped the shit out of myself. Run back to my truck, grab my phone, come back over to the sign. I'm dialing the first number. There's 2 numbers. I dial the first number. Nothing. Nobody answers. Fuck. All right. Go to the second number. Somebody answers. I'm like, hey, hi, this is going to sound strange, but I'm looking at your flyer right here. And I said, I'm here. I said, I know that's my cat. And I'm expecting her to say, oh, great. He's in my garage. I'll be right home. No. She says, oh, I don't know if that was your cat or not. And I said, no, I'm almost 100,000% confident it's my cat. She's like, well, the owner came and claimed it the other day. What? Somebody claimed my cat? What? She goes, oh, it was a neighbor a couple of doors down the street said it was their cat. And the way she described the cat, the mannerisms, every single thing about the cat was exactly like Whiskers. So what did I do? I said, well, where is this neighbor at? And so she wouldn't give me the exact address, but she gave me their name. So I went on Google, typed in their name in Google. Sure enough, it showed me their address. I was about 6 houses away, drove up to their house, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to take a chance. So I went up there, knocked on the door, looking like this in a very fancy neighborhood. And I could tell there was a camera on there. And so I held up the sign that I brought that says lost cat. And it was basically the same cat. And so I know they looked on the camera, they came to the door and they said, sir, can we help you? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I said, you guys recently found your cat. I said, but the crazy thing is he looks exactly like my cat that I lost 1.5 years ago, 3 miles away. I said, and so they opened the door. I tell them the whole story. I show them pictures on my phone. And so they bring the cat out. And I was just like, oh my God, that cat looks exactly like Whiskers. It was so unbelievably the same. I couldn't even, so I said, I asked the couple, they were really nice. And I said, can I pet him? And so I pet him a few times and I swear it looked exactly like Whiskers. And I was just sitting there going, how could this be? How could this be? How can I get so excited and think 1,000% that this was my cat? And it wasn't. And so ultimately I said, well, thank you guys. I'm glad you guys found your cat, have a safe and happy holidays and appreciate you, and walked away and kind of sat by my truck and was like, well, I could be sad or I could be happy. And so I chose to be happy. I chose to be happy that they found their cat. I still choose to think that perhaps he adopted another family like he adopted us once upon a time. And I'm super thankful for this super chunk that is sitting right here on my table. I'm not going to pick him up right now, otherwise he'll start roaming around the screen. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because sometimes we get our hopes up and we don't want to get our hopes up. But for me, I'd rather get my hopes up and go find out that maybe something isn't the reality that I thought it was, rather than just to always minimize my expectations and minimize my hopes so that I don't get disappointed. Because when you live like that, you're only existing, you're not truly living. So just wanted to share that with you guys. I put a post on Facebook just to share that. My wife says, you shouldn't post that on Facebook until you absolutely know. I said, no, I want to show people that you can have an opportunity for hope. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being here. Got Mary Kay in the house. She says, happy Friday. Mary Kay, appreciate you being here. So ladies and gentlemen, chronic pain. Who of you, raise your hand, has dealt with chronic pain? We're going to talk about that tonight. Chronic pain is something that I've dealt with since 2006. My back pain, my neck, and things of that nature. I had back surgery in 2019. You guys know I've done literally all sorts of different modalities to try to treat it. And right now it's actually doing pretty good. I'm pretty grateful and I'm thankful for that. But tonight we're going to be talking about chronic pain. And my guest tonight is Jane Hogan. What's up, Jane? Welcome to the Unfiltered.
Hey, Christopher. Great to see you and great to hear these little stories. And yeah, I share a lot of that with you. I really love what this show is about. So thanks for that.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you being here. You're coming to us from Newfoundland, Canada, right?
That's where I live. Yep.
Right. Is that where it never gets dark or it never gets light?
No, we're actually not that far north. I mean, compared to you, yes, we're north, but we're not like we're actually the same latitude kind of as France. So we're not too far north. But it's, yeah, a lot colder than further south. That whole Gulf Stream passes us by, and we get the cold currents coming down from Greenland, and so
yeah, no, thank you, no, thank you. I'll stay here in Southern California where we have two seasons: summer and not summer. It's actually been cold out. It's been crazy. It's been like the highs have been in the 60s. That's it. We really went from 100-degree weather to 60-degree weather in like a matter of a couple of weeks, but I'm not complaining. I love it. I appreciate it. So we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about chronic pain. So talk to us about your journey. What got you involved in the fact that you wanted to find a solution to help heal chronic pain without the opioids and everything else that people most traditionally go to?
I know, it's sad. There's such a problem with opioid addiction, and I understand. I mean, so I experienced chronic pain. Actually, it's really, really common. You ask how many people, and it's like, the number one reason people go to see their doctor worldwide. It's the number one cause of disability worldwide. 65% of people over the age of 65 have chronic pain. And 25% of the general population has chronic pain. So it's really, really common. I didn't know it. I was totally fine and healthy, didn't have chronic pain until I did have chronic pain. So I had like a really stressful year. Started with my mother dying suddenly, and she was like my best friend, and I had to deal with everything over the year. And then I got really bad pain. Like it started in the shoulder, and then next day it was the next shoulder, like so bad I'd have to put my arm in a sling. And then my feet started to hurt. And I thought, okay, I guess I just need orthotics. I'm 50 now. And then it was, my hands started to get like, I couldn't make a fist with them. I had no grip strength. My jaw, my wrists.
Your jaw?
Yeah. My knees swelled up, like I had big balls of inflammation on my knees. Anyway, I was like basically within 3 months went from being healthy, strong, and vibrant to being nearly disabled.
Wow.
And I knew it had to have something to do with this stressful year that I had just had. I mean,
cortisol, poof.
Exactly. And so anyway, I didn't know what it was. Nothing was showing up in blood work. And I was really lucky to have a family doctor who said, well, maybe it might have something to do with what you're eating. Gluten and dairy are pretty common triggers of inflammation. Why don't you give that a try? I'm like, what? There's something I can do? So I did it. And I am not kidding. 5 days, within 5 days, I had a big reduction in pain. Like I still had inflammation all over my body, and I still had pain, but it was like, this is something I can do. So I started down this whole road of learning about lifestyle and getting, okay, you need sleep to heal. And
a little bit.
Yeah, and movement, and then, stress. Okay, like, so what relationships are causing me stress? What can I do about it? And I would get a little bit better, and then I would plateau, and I get a bit better, and I plateau. And I'm an engineer, so that's my careers was an engineer. My little joke is I was a structural engineer until my own structure started.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good one right there.
Yeah, so it got and I used to design when you're a structural engineer, you design the steel and concrete and everything so that it doesn't get stressed, right? So it doesn't fail. And here was me, got stressed. My
You're like,
body.
I need a wedge bracket right between my L bar and my right bar, right? A
Yeah.
little bracket right there.
Yeah. So anyway, it was so as I was healing, I did my engineering thing. I was like really like in that kind of brain, where I'm thinking, all right, plotting, graphing, and charting. How's my pain changing with this? And when I sleep, 7 hours work versus 5 hours. What's my pain? I did all that kind of stuff. And anyway, it took me pretty far, but it really didn't take me the whole way. And I realized, okay, there's something else going on here that I need to do. I need to figure out. And what I realized was that I had to kind of surrender. I had to surrender into stop trying so hard. And I realized I had been trying hard my whole life.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
Hard charger right here.
Yeah. I did engineering because my father wanted me to do engineering. I was the good girl. I did all of these things, and I was a people pleaser. And, there was some perfectionist, all of that stuff. And I realized that created stress my whole life.
Yeah.
Right? This little internal stress that was there all the time. And then this year that I had that was stressful, that was just like put me over the top. But it actually started way back. So I had to really go back and not so much review things, except to realize how I needed to forgive.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't like hearing your story, and some of the people that I know have been on this show, like what people go through and rise above is amazing. I had like lowercase t trauma. It was nothing big, but in my little mind as a little girl, it was big. So it's not really what happened, it's how you respond to it.
Yes.
And so I responded to it by creating a behavioral adaptation of being a perfectionist and people pleaser that carried me through my whole life. But that creates stress in the body. And when we're in a stress state in the body, energy doesn't flow, the body doesn't work, all the systems don't work well. And then over time, it starts to break down. You get inflammation and can lead to pain. So I was eventually diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. But by the time I got the diagnosis, I was actually creating my own healing path. And so I never did take any medication. I ended up reversing it. I don't have any pain now. And I thought, okay, I want to learn more about this. And so I heard about functional medicine, and that there was a health coach program I could do online, like still be in Newfoundland, still do my engineering job, do this course online. And so I learned about functional medicine. And one thing that really stood out to me, every month we had a module on mind-body medicine, and I found it fascinating. I always found the placebo effect fascinating.
Oh, is that, have you read that book?
Oh, by Joe Dispenza?
Yeah.
You Are the Placebo? Yeah.
Isn't that great? For everybody listening and watching, before you go on, describe what functional medicine is.
So functional medicine, it's a style of practicing medicine that deals with root causes as opposed to, Band-Aid solutions.
Love that.
Right? What we know about conventional medicine, and conventional medicine has it's wonderful, but it's not doing a very good job of chronic pain or chronic conditions in general. Right?
Yeah, it treats the symptoms, but it doesn't treat the root.
Right. And it's very specialized. So it only deals with one thing, one part of us, not the whole person. So functional medicine also looks at the whole person, and not just the body, but the body, the mind, and spirit. Everything is connected. We are not a pile of separateness. Everything is part of it. So we can't ignore the energetic side of us, that spiritual side of us. We can't ignore, let's fix what's going on in my wrist here with some surgery, but not deal with what's going on in my mind.
True.
So it puts it all together. So I especially found mind-body medicine really fascinating. And I'd always had this sort of spiritual side. I'd done Reiki, practiced Tai Chi. So I had all this, and I was like, it all comes together, and it all came together in me. And I had this moment when I was really at my lowest point before I even started on my healing path, that I was just like, felt I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
I
You feel helpless.
I felt helpless.
You're at the mercy of narcotics and everything else, and you're trying to figure, I just want to go back to the way I was before I was all broken.
Right, and I felt like I was letting everyone down, and my husband, he was coming up to retirement. We're both coming up to retirement. We had always looked forward to these years, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything. I'm gonna
Mhm.
be probably in a wheelchair, and I just was at this rock bottom moment, and I don't think I was suicidal, but I remember having the thought, if this is the way my life is gonna be, I'm ready to be done. I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
ready to be
And
done.
you're not alone. I just read a report the other day. I was talking about the opioid crisis and the fact that doctors sit there and say, like, some people I really need them. Like there was this one guy that literally the conversation was happening on the article. They were talking about, I can't remember how many different things he had, but he was on fentanyl patches, I guess, or something like that. And then the doctor just because the FDA and everybody else got crazy about it, they determined that he wasn't a required patient for this, and so they cut him off. And so then they went to all these different doctors. They went to like 17 different doctors. Nobody would take them. Nobody would understand how much pain this person was in. And actually the husband and the wife both killed themselves because they left a note saying, if this is the way my life is going to be for the rest of it, we can't do it. And that's
Oh,
heartbreaking to
that's
think about
so
that.
sad.
That
It is
they
heartbreaking.
felt they had no other solution besides the fentanyl patches. And I mean, the list of things that the guy was dealing with was unconscionable. It was like broken vertebrae and all this different stuff. I mean, he was a basket case in some respects, but to think about, you get to that end of your rope and you feel like you have no other choice, and you want to end your life because the pain's so great. I mean, that's an uncompromising position I would never
Mhm.
want to be in.
Well, I am truly blessed because what happened to me and in that moment is I got a download. Yeah, I don't know if it was a voice, I don't know, but I got a message that said, "You are going to figure this out, and you're going to you're going to show other people."
Wow.
Now,
Had you gotten downloads like that before, or was this the first one?
um, I think I've had some before, but I mean, this was clearly like, a rock bottom moment in my life. And so I didn't know. I didn't know how I was going to figure out. But I think as I was trying all these different things, at my core, I knew I was going to figure it out. And so I never gave up. I just kept on going.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah. And I just kept on going. And I saw I had this belief that I was gonna figure it out. And so I just kept on going. And I still keep on going. Like I'm always still a work in progress, right? We're never truly pain free.
Mhm.
Things come along in our lives that trigger us all the time. I mean, I believe that's what this life experience is for, right? For us to be shown experiences
Mhm.
that lead us to where we need to grow, right? And so we either learn them and from those experiences, or we go around another cycle and it shows up again, right? And
Insanity.
so yeah, so I believe now that all of these things, like, I mean, pain in the physical body is kind of like the caboose on the train, right? There's other stuff that happens first, and by the time it filters down to the caboose, we've ignored stuff a lot along the way, right? We need to try to get the message sooner so we don't get to that pain.
Right.
So now, like, I'm really a lot more in tune, and this is the kind of stuff that I teach people, is noticing, like, when someone walks in the room and your buttons get pressed, it's not about them, it's about you.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah, so first of all, notice in your body where you're feeling that. Are you feeling it, in your solar plexus? Are you feeling it in your throat? Do you get like a pain in your neck?
Mhm.
What is it? Notice where you're feeling it first. And that's kind of very telling, right? And it's
It is.
interesting too with language. Just it reminded me when I said pain in the neck, right?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about because if Scott were here, he would be talking about the chakras, right? So is
Oh
that
yeah,
related? Is that related to the chakras? I've also heard that,
definitely.
like, if you get the pain in your throat or something like that, that's a an indication that you're not speaking, you're not
Yeah.
vocalizing some of the things you're going on. Is that
Exactly.
correct? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
super interesting,
I'm learning.
the linkages, between certain illnesses and different things and the chakra system. I mean, it sounds woo-woo, but, they're actually, connected to our endocrine system, so it's kind of the way I think about the chakras is that it's like there's a bigger part of us, an energetic part of us that has to come through to express into this physical body. So it comes through the chakra system. And if
Yeah.
it's not, if those aren't really working well, then it's going to show up as energy not flowing. So I'm coming back to energy again, right? It's energy not flowing. So that energy not flowing could be in your neck. That energy not flowing could be, in your solar plexus area, right? That's associated with, that's our power center, and very much connected to our mental, who we are, our, how we show up in the world, that kind of thing. So yeah, it definitely, sometimes people hear the chakras and they're like, yeah, but
That would have been me probably about 5 or 10 years ago. Literally, my tagline, Jane, is I help people overcome their self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Because
yes,
years ago, I was always a hard charger. Like, I know plan A, B, C, and D. I can get you to the success route. We don't have to sit Indian style and go kumbaya. We don't all this breeding stuff. I thought it was all bullshit. And then I met Scott, and then I met Lee, who was here watching the show. And I started opening my horizons to sit there and say, okay, rather than just beating this woo-woo stuff down, let me try to understand it a little bit, maybe partake in it a little bit and see for myself rather than just my perception of it, and
yeah,
figure out what's going on. And God's honest truth, whenever I say my tagline now, I tell people now, I said, but the woo-woo stuff, I said, I'm learning about. So I'm able to talk about that a little bit more. So I'm
right.
excited to have this conversation. And Scott's
Well,
been a tremendous soul in helping me understand that, as well as Lee.
mhm. My tagline is that I blend leading edge science with ancient spiritual practices, because I it's all coming together now, right? The
Yeah.
science is proving the stuff that these ancient practices have been doing for years, and in other parts of the world, it's no biggie. Like they're like, yeah, of course it's all connected. And here we got to say, no, we need science to prove that it's connected. But
And then it's unsubstantiated science. It's all this like the ins and outs and things of that nature. The thing that I want to ask you about, for me, I've discovered this is, I've had chronic back pain for many, many years. I had back surgery in 2019. Like, if you look at the MRIs and you look at the x-rays, it's bad. Like, you could see where the nerves are and everything else that's being impended, or in whatever they call that word, being crushed, essentially. But the thing that I found is, all my years, I've always been in really great shape. I could eat whatever I want, was fine, felt great. But then as I've gotten older, I've been a lot more aware of what I'm putting into my body. And there's periodic episodes where I go and I don't have any sugar, I don't have any gluten, I don't have any wheat. I eat super clean. I don't have any alcohol. I always drink a ton of water anyway, but I'll do that for about 75 days. And it's incredible how much my inflammation will go down. It's incredible how much the shooting pains will start to subside. And it blows my mind. Honestly, I want to get your thoughts on this. It blows my mind because the people I've talked to and the times that I've done this, it works every single time. The fact that I go to my pain management doctor every month and get my prescription for my pills and everything, and my doctor has never once asked, what do you eat, Chris? And I've talked to so many people who are in pain situations. I'm like, has your doctor ever asked you what your diet is? And like, no. And that blows my mind. Talk to us about that. How much is that all interconnected? The fact of what we eat and the inflammation causing that pain to persist.
oh, it's totally, totally. Well, I wouldn't say
I
totally.
was throwing you a volley. You could just like smash that one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is connected. Now, there's obviously some pain can come from injuries, but then it's, you get scar tissue, and it's scar tissue then, which is stopping the energy from flowing. But, your body can obviously take care of that too, if the energy is flowing properly. But about most pain, what I hear a lot of it, I did this big summit where I interviewed over 50 people who were experts in pain. So I got the big picture, right? And so most of them say that about 80% of so most pain is the end result of inflammation, and about 80% of inflammation begins in the gut. Okay, so what goes in the gut? Food. And
Ta-da.
the stuff that's sprayed on our food, right? So
True.
it's not just what we're eating, it's also what's sprayed on our food and what we ate, right? So if the cow that you're eating is eating not grass, but instead eating feed that's been sprayed with glyphosate, well, they're getting that. It gets stored in their tissues, and then you eat it,
Yes.
and you get that. So yeah, what we eat plays a huge role. And water, you mentioned water, like most people are chronically dehydrated. Just
Yeah.
if all they did was drank enough water. So a guideline is like half your body weight in pounds as ounces.
Yep.
As a
I say that
guideline,
all the
don't
time.
try to do that right away. Build up to it if you're nowhere near that. But once you realize how much that is, like measure it out and see how much it is. Once you realize it, you realize that, okay, I'm really not drinking anywhere near what I need to. Just that alone would help a lot of people. So if just start there. But
Powerful.
also, it's not just what you're eating, it's how you eat.
Mm.
How many people are sitting down, eating with their phone in front of them, watching the news, feeling crappy, maybe complain, like, what are you thinking about when you're eating? We want to be in a relaxed state when we're eating. If we're not relaxed when we're eating, then we're in that fight, flight, fear state. And in
Yeah.
that state, our digestive system doesn't work. If your digestive system is not working, then you can get, well, you've probably heard of the microbiome, right? The collection of
Yep. Learning
microbes.
the microbiome and the mitochondria. I'm learning a lot about that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
found out that recently, and I just had a guest on my show last week. He cured, or actually Tuesday, he cured his own cancer naturally, homeopathically. Now he's written a book about it, how to cure cancer. And he talks a lot about that stuff, but he talks about the mitochondria, the microbiome, and the fact that a lot of, like 50% of what's going on in our head is based on if the mitochondria are actually working. So we think it's up here, but it's actually really in our gut. Talk to us about
Yeah.
that, and talk to us how we can become more aware of that and help those mitochondria to be more successful.
Yeah. So the mitochondria are the little energy factories in most cells in our body, and some parts of some of our organs have more, like the brain, the eyes, the liver, the heart. The organs that have to work all the time have a lot of mitochondria because they need a lot of energy. And so the mitochondria, so this is just a whole little side note, but the mitochondria they can produce energy from either glucose or from fats.
Hmm.
And so when they produce energy from fats, it's I forget now the percentage, but they're much more efficient. So you kind of get like a boost of energy. But
From
if
fat
there's
within our system, or from fat within our food? It's like
it
like
could be
avocado,
either.
healthy fat.
Yeah, it
Either?
could be
Okay.
either. It could be either. So, but if we're so glucose in the bloodstream comes from carbohydrates, sugars, and even meat, like protein over time, right?
Wow.
But that turns to sugar or glucose in the bloodstream a lot more slowly. But carbohydrates, it's like that, right?
Mhm.
So, in the absence of glucose, the mitochondria will use fats. But as long as we've always got the glucose in the blood, which if we're eating carbs all the time, if we're eating sugars and all that, then our mitochondria are always going to be making energy from that. And so it's slower. And so we don't have the energy. Plus, a lot of people are eating toxic things, and then the body has to deal with that. That takes a lot of energy. I mean, if you're tired after you eat, might be a sign that what you're eating is not that great for you.
Yeah. I noticed that sometimes my heart rate, if I have gluten and carbohydrates, my heart rate goes up. I'll watch it. It's like 10, 15 minutes after I'm done eating. I use my little Apple Watch, and I'll sit there. I'm like, why is my heart rate like 102 right now? I'm not even moving.
Interesting. Yeah. So, the engineer in me would say, okay, track, like, what do you eat and what kind of reactions are you getting afterwards?
Yeah, that's what I do.
But yeah, I mean, even though in the beginning for me, I started with food. Now, when I work with people, yeah, okay, let's work on cleaning up what you're eating. Like, what are you doing now? But also, let's work on your mindset, because what you think has way more effect than what you eat.
Seriously. Ooh, talk to me about that. Wow.
Well, because if you're thinking stressful thoughts, which most people are, unless they're very like consciously controlling what's in their thoughts, which you probably are, but most people are not. They're thinking the same old thoughts, you know, the 80,000, 60,000 thoughts that they're having every day, most of them on repeat, most of them negative. When we have these thoughts that are negative, it creates, you know, stress. We're either ruminating over the past or we're worried about the future, and that creates stress. Stress creates chemistry of stress in our body. It creates cortisol, right? That's a chemistry of stress. And then so our cells are all bathed in this stressful environment. So they're going, okay, it's not good out here. So we're just in survival mode here. Let's not worry about digestion. Let's not worry about, reproduction, or let's not worry about like getting all the proper everything going for good sleep, because we might need to run. So I mean, our whole life is affected by our thoughts. And so what you're thinking, like, you can be eating the best food in the world, but if you're sitting there in front of, you know, watching the news and it's bothering you, or you're sitting there like, you know, going over conversations, I wish I had said that, or I'm going to say this, or, you know, whatever it is, all of those things, you're not going to be digesting your food well. If you don't digest it, you're not going to be absorbing the nutrients, so you're not going to be getting what you need. So, you know, start with thoughts. And so that's why meditation, right, is so important. And even meditation, people might be like, I can't meditate. Just focus on the breath. That's why I like talking about breath work. Just focus on the breath. Just sit there, notice the breath coming in, notice the breath coming out. And when you're doing that, what you're just giving that brain a little break from those stressful thoughts, and you're just in that moment, safe, good. Everything can run as normal, right? We're not having to fight for our life. And that's where we should be most of the time.
Is in that space. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Actually, if Scott were here, he would have a fun time hearing me tell this story. He came out to California. He's been out to California twice. We got to meet in person. And he comes out here and he's spending, this is like towards the end of COVID. We got a hotel room. We were all safe and wearing our mask and all that other stuff. And we were saying, he's like, I got a couple of things planned for us. I'm like, oh, what do you got planned? He goes, we're going to do some breath work. And then we're going to go see my friend Mario. He's got a infrared heat thing. He's got all these different toys basically for mind, body health and all this other stuff. And when he said breath work, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, we're going to go sit there and go, like all this stuff. And so I was like, all right, this is going to be cute. I'll play along with their little breath work thing. And then, so I had no idea. I never knew what breath work really was. And so we go over to Mario's house, and all of a sudden there's like pillows and blankets and all sorts of stuff laying out. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we're going to do a breath work session. I'm like, what am I getting myself into? This looks like we're going to have some sort of orgy party or something like that. I don't know what's going on. And so we're going to explain it all in a minute. We all lay down, and there's like a few other people show up here that I did not know, by the way, which was hysterical because it was during COVID. And so we're laying there, and he's like, okay, we booked it. We booked this major breathwork guy through the internet. We paid some money. And so we got this major guy. He's really great at it. So we're going to listen to him starting right now. And so I'm laying down and I'm thinking, okay, breathwork, how hard could this be? This is okay, whatever. I'm going to play along. And so the guy comes on and he goes, okay, here's what we're going to be doing. He goes, if you start to feel like you're going to pass out, you're going to be fine. If you feel like you're going to, and I'm like, from breathing, what's going on? I'm sitting here just trying to relax. I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, what did I get myself into? And as soon as he basically starts, it took him a while for them to start. You're going to hear people crying. You're going to hear people having these outcries and all. I'm like, from breathing, I'm still in my own brain thinking like, okay, what have I got myself into? What's going on? Like, let's just go for the ride. And I kid you not, Jane, within 3 to 5 minutes, my hands were already curling up doing that thing. Oh my God. All of a sudden I felt like was crazy. I stayed right on the edge of thinking I was going to pass out for the entire duration. I heard people crying and screaming and all sorts of weird shit. It was incredible. Afterwards, I felt incredible. It was pretty mind blowing. That breath, the thing we have the most control over really through our body. I mean, I've done box breathing and things of that nature. That was powerful stuff. Talk to us about what's going on in our body while we're doing those exercises.
There can be a lot going on in the body. Depending on what type of breath work you're doing. I mean, some of the breath work might be designed to just kind of get more oxygen going to different parts of the body that maybe aren't getting enough. I don't know what this particular one was. I've done some pretty interesting breath works as well where, and I don't know what he did, but the one particular one that I did one time, and it was in a session like this with a leader, and it was breathing in and out through the solar plexus area. He didn't say that. He was just like, pop your belly out and bring it in and pop it out.
Yeah,
And
this
listen to
was
music.
it was
And
like
yeah,
out with the belly. Let's see.
yeah,
Yeah.
and keep doing it over and over and over again. But I think the reason why it's so emotional is we hang on to emotions down there, right? And so it's a release. So what's happening is this area that we're holding tight all the time, we're getting energy through it now. We're getting energy through it with the breath. And
Wow.
so when you're doing that, there's a release. And it could have been something so when I did this one, I was lying down on like a yoga mat. And when I got up, there was like 2 puddles on either side because the tears were just flowing, this release that was happening.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it's a fantastic experience. But I mean, breath is spirit in the body, right? It is our energy, our life force in the body. So it's got the whole physiological thing going on, but it's also who we are. And so we can direct our energy. I was curious, you mentioned about your back. Do you have back pain now, Christopher?
Right this minute?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually pretty good right now. As long as I stay still, I'm pretty good. But yeah, if I start moving around or stuff like that, it stiffens up really bad and I have to stretch it out and do things of that nature. But
Yeah.
actually sitting here right now, it's knock on wood, it's been pretty decent the last few days. I go through waves where sometimes it's pretty incredible where I can't walk. I get shooting pains down my right leg. That's pretty significant. But knock on wood, I've been doing a pretty good job of my diet and things the last few days and feeling pretty good.
Well, another thing, I mean, because people come to me in pain, right? So the people that I'm working with have pain, a lot of people with arthritis and things like that. And so we do often this breath work it's breath work, but it's really we're using our imagination. So you imagine the breath moving through. So if it was your back, you could imagine. So, I mean, do you want to do a little exercise now?
Let's do it. I'm game.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So if people are listening, watching, whatever, as long as you're not driving, maybe you don't have a pain, or maybe you do with all the people with chronic pain. So let's just say you have pain now in your lower back. So
Okay.
just sit down, close your eyes.
Okay.
Let your hands relax on your lap.
Well,
And notice, let's just get relaxed a little bit first. So notice that you've got full support. Your feet are supported. Your body's supported on the chair that you're sitting in. Your hands are supported on your lap. Breathe in and out. See if you can lengthen out the breath a little bit.
do you do it through your nose and your mouth or
If you can do it through your nose, do it through your nose
Okay.
is the best. In and out through the nose for this practice.
Okay.
And imagine now that you're breathing in and out through your heart. So as you breathe in, the air comes into the heart space, fills it up, and exhale. And into the heart again. And exhale. And notice now, or imagine that as you breathe, you've got a pulsating white light in your heart. And with each breath, it shines brighter. It's a very loving light. And now let this light, let it just flow through your body and take it to where you're feeling the pain.
Okay.
And let it rest there. And think of this area like a small child or pet that really needs some loving care. It's been calling to you, saying it needs some loving care. And you're helping it right now with this light. And you're directing your loving attention to this area. The breath pulsating in this area. You could do that for as long as you like. For now, we'll just say to this area, I've got you now. I'm not going to forget you. And let that shining light come back into your heart. And know that it's always there. Whenever you need it, you can pull this light and take it wherever you want. You can let it split apart, go to 2 areas. You can let it completely fill your body whenever you want. So now we'll just let it rest there. And do a few more breaths. Notice you got a very loving feeling in your heart right now. It's always there. Last breath in and exhale. And when you're ready, you can slowly and gently open your eyes.
Wow. Damn. I feel
How did
chill.
that feel for you?
Feels chill. My face feels a little numb. Feels amazing. I've been doing this stuff. Yeah. I've actually been meditating, doing the box breathing, the hold 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, that's been paramount in my life for like helping with my stress, but I feel good. I feel less tense. I'm always running and going. And so being able to do that was relaxing my body as I was taking those exhales and trying to relax the parts where I felt tension in. And yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's incredible really what you can do with this.
Yeah, well, what we're doing, a part of that, using the mind along with it and visualization is sending a message that, this area, brain, right? Because our subconscious mind is running the body.
Right.
We're directing the brain to say, this area is important and it needs, so pay attention to it, right? The reason why it's not, or why it is hurting, why the energy isn't flowing is because the brain thinks it's not important. So, so we can use the visualization. It's so powerful when you combine that with the breath, and you're sending the energy to it and just saying, this is important.
Yeah.
And feeling that loving feeling towards it, because it's easy to not like the parts of us that are in pain. Or even just not like us, right? We can look in the mirror, just not like us, maybe not like what you see in the mirror. But if we do that, we're just sending bad vibes to it, right? We
Sending the wrong programming. We can program ourselves. What you're saying is program ourselves.
This is no good, right? So we want to send the message, it's good. I love it. And I'm sorry. Like I forgot about you, but I'm not going to forget you anymore. That's how we would treat like a child or a pet, right? So coming at it with that loving feeling is really, to me, where it's at.
Jane, I love this. I love this. I have so many other questions for you, but I'm going to ask you one. What are some common misunderstandings when people think about health? Like, oh, I think this is healthy, when we really dig into it and we find out it's not so healthy. Do you have a couple of examples for that?
Well, I kind of would like to answer that a little bit of a different question, maybe not what you were looking at, but I think people go outside of themselves to look for answers instead of looking inside themselves for answers. So they're always like, okay, what's the next best thing? And even people that like get all this, they'll still say, but what supplement should I take? I mean, that there's a time and a place for that, but let's not kind of think that that's the answer. The answer is within you, right? And maybe there's something you need to change in what you eat, or maybe there's some supplement that might help you, or something you need to do. But like, the answer's within you. So maybe sometimes you just get quiet and say, what do I need to do right now? What's the best thing for me to do right now? What would love say? If I was my own best friend, what would I tell myself to do right now? I mean, we do have the answers. A lot of people, there's so much information out there. People know what's good for them and what's not good for them, right?
Yeah,
It's more about changing habits, right? And so you can't, it's hard to change habits when you're in a stress state. So
True.
that's why
It's reactionary versus reactive versus proactive.
Not only that, your prefrontal cortex literally shrinks. The thinking part of your brain literally shrinks.
When
And
I
so
drink.
you're more relying on the reptilian brain. And also, we talked earlier, coming back to that, talking about the bacteria, that bacteria in our gut can control our cravings so the bad bacteria, right? So we want to have healthy bacteria. We need the bacteria. We just need the right ones in there. So if we got a bad gang down there, right, they're going to be having the wrong kind of parties. And so we want to have the good bacteria there. So, we want to feed it, but we do have the answers. And I think if people say maybe the best thing for them to do is to get educated and learn a little bit more about what they need to do.
It's so true.
Yeah, we have the answers. Like, really trust yourself to have the answers. And the more you do like trust yourself and ask yourself, the better you'll be at trusting yourself.
True. And I think to your point, earlier, this is something that I've developed in my brain, is to think about, I'm all about questions as a coach. Like, the way I get people to shift their perspective is ask them a different question and to tell them to be honest. Like, if you ask yourself a question, you're honest with that answer. Am I happy with this person? And you actually are honest and you're not happy with that person, then what's the next step? Not to sit there and still be complacent and silent. The next step is to say, okay, how can I rectify the fact that I'm not happy with this person? And the same thing, I think about it as when I'm putting something in my mouth. Is this good for me? Yes or no? Not partially. Is it good for me? Yes or no? And if no, then why am I putting it into my body? Then if I'm putting it in my body anyway, and it's no, then what else is going on? What's that? What is what I'm running from? What kind of things am I trying to satiate, and all that different stuff? So I think about that. My other question for you before we end out the show, talking about food and stuff like that, and talking about water and hydration, which is massively important. There's been a lot of talk about alkalinity. There's a big thing about 4 or 5 years ago, like alkaline water, you got to be more alkaline than acidic and things of that nature. How much does that play a role in the mitochondria and everything else that's going on in our system to have that alkaline level up?
Well, we do have generally the way most people eat is that we do have we're not alkaline enough, right? We're too acidic.
Right.
And so our bodies don't do well in that kind of environment. And so, yeah, I mean, it does play a role. But what I will say is that our thoughts create acidity in our body, right? That cortisol it creates acidity in our body. So again, coming back to the thoughts, that's what we need to do. So if you're under stress, you need to deal with that. So
imagine that. If the whole world would do that, God damn, it would be a better place to live. Yeah. That's why I'm constantly telling people, like, hey, hurt people, and angry people get angry with people. It's like crazy. Like, when you're happy with yourself, like I used to be so high strung and so like, I'm going to go change. Like, now I've gotten to a point where I'm like, yeah, okay, I can let that shit go. And my health and my stress level, my anxiety, my blood pressure, everything else is leveled out. One other question I have for you, thinking about the engineer and the both of us, and I think about, like, okay, how can I test this and then benchmark it and then see, okay, how can I measure those successes? I think about testing. And one thing we were talking about with my guest on Tuesday night show about cancer was he was talking about metals, and he was talking about the different tests that he went through to find out what things were inside of his body so he could get them out. And a lot of things that we don't pay attention to is metal. I mean, if you look at how many metal fillings you have in your teeth and stuff like that, that plays a huge part of it. I don't know if you know this, but Tony Robbins, the famous motivational speaker, he eats a lot of fish, and found out he had so much mercury in his system. He had like 16 times the amount of mercury that was supposed to be in your system. What types of tests should we consider as we're venturing out into this to kind of get a visual on where we're at with metals or whatever types of other things, so we can kind of watch that as we change our diet and we change our thought processes and we add that breathing into there? What type of tests should we be doing?
I think if you're wanting to get some tests done, you should work with a practitioner. Like, really, otherwise it's just kind of guesswork. So work with and these tests are not available through conventional medicine for the most part. So you probably want to work with the functional medicine practitioner and to figure some of those things out. And yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think I probably have tons of mercury. I got fillings. And so, knowing that, I go, okay, I'm not going to have the tuna. Tuna's high in mercury. I just never eat it. Right. So, so you want to, you might want to, before spending a ton of money on tests, like do some of the other lifestyle things there's so many free and easy things to do. Like start with those things.
True.
Right? Instead, because you can spend thousands of dollars on tests, you really can. But start with the things like breath work, for example. Start and doing like calming yourself down, getting to bed early, eating in a calm way, feeling good about what you're eating. All of these things are free. And then that can help your body deal with some of the other stuff, right? But
makes sense.
If we're throwing all these toxins in and we're really stressed, like our body just can't deal with it all. And that's why we, end up seeing this inflammation and different illnesses. So, yeah, I mean, you can work with a functional medicine practitioner, but please do these other things that are free and easy. Drink the water, start getting rid of plastics in your life. How much of our food do we put in plastic and then people go stick it in the microwave and eat, so there's such simple lifestyle things that you can do on your own before going and spending thousands of dollars on tests. Now, it depends where you are too. If you're feeling, I did start doing some tests as well, because when you're in that amount of inflammation, okay, you got to get the fire out, right? But work on some of these other things as well that are free and easy and portable, like the breath, portable. You got it with you everywhere you go.
I love it. Jane, I'm going to invite you back to the show when Scott gets back so we can have more conversations about this, because I have all these other questions in my brain. This has been a magnificent hour. I'm going to capture some of these comments before I ask people where they can get a hold of you, because we had some amazing comments in here, and I was just so engrossed in the conversation. Let's see. Well, Robert says, I hate opioids. Yeah, I don't think anybody likes them. Well, actually, I don't know if you know Matthew Perry, the Friends star.
Yeah,
he just recently released his book, and I binge watched some of his interviews. I wasn't a huge Friends star or a Matthew Perry star, but he was taking 55 Vicodin a day. I was like, oh my God, no wonder he went into a coma for 5 weeks and was in the hospital for 5 months. It's crazy. Yeah, we definitely got to be making sure. We got Patricia in the house. Says, good evening. What's up, Patricia? I think she's enjoying this conversation. You know Patricia?
I know Patricia.
She's one of my dearest friends. She's one of my mentors. She's an amazing. So that's cool.
Patricia.
Yeah, we got Mary Kay says, me too, Christopher. I'm not sure what that was about, but thank you. We got Ray in the house. What's up, Ray? Good to see you, brother. Ray's on a health journey. We appreciate you being here, Ray. Ray. We got some sort of weird stuff coming in through YouTube. I keep seeing that lately. Got Lee says, I love it. Jane, just start somewhere with something small, little changes at a time over us. I can't talk today. A little changes in at a time. Over time gets us there. Yeah, sorry about that.
Baby steps. It's all about baby steps. Just keep taking them.
Baby steps. He loves the breath work as well, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Robert's got pain in his heart. Oh, Robert, you got to let go of that stuff.
Breathe love into your heart, Robert.
Breathe love into your heart, Robert. Patricia says she loves this. Yes, thank you for being here, Patricia. Appreciate you. We got to catch up soon. Ray, wow, that's weird. Ray went green. Oh, Robert went green. Robert says he's watching from bed. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you for taking us to bed with you. That way your heart won't hurt because you have Jane and I with you. That's kind of weird. Patricia says, Jane is a true walk the walk engineer of health. Thank you for the amazing conversation tonight. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Patricia.
We got Tom in the house. I had a great conversation with Tom today. This is a great message. Thank you. We got Mary Kay saying amazing information, Jane. We got Ray Thompson in the house. What's up, Ray? She says, good evening. And Tom says here again, love to have your guest on own your own health. God.
Oh, I love that, Tom.
Yeah. Perfect. So definitely I'll get you guys in contact with one another, but where can people get a hold of you, Jane, and continue this conversation? I know you've got a freebie out here, so let's talk about that as well. You got a free offer. Let's put that up on the screen.
Yeah. So my website is thewellnessengineer.com because I left engineering, became a health coach. And so my freebie that I got, it's a mind, body, breath. So there's a meditation to activate healing in the body. There's 101 affirmations that I would say affirmations are fantastic, but you need to feel them. So feel the feelings that go along with them. And then there's also a guided breath work for, it's a heart focused breath work. So it's a heart's the master healer. So, it helps everyone. So it's a downloadable audio files. Yeah.
Awesome. And for the people listening on the podcast, you guys, it's thewellnessengineer.com /audio bundle. So again, thewellnessengineer.com/audio bundle. All the links will be in the show notes as well. And again, the website to go to is thewellnessengineer.com, of course. And she can also be found on Instagram at Jane Hogan Health, right? Jane Hogan Health. And that's HOGAN for you guys listening here on the podcast, Jane Hogan Health and Instagram. Jane, this has been a tremendous conversation tonight. I can't thank you enough. And I definitely want you back. It's been valuable information. And I hope that the people watching this and listening to this either tonight and on the replays and through the podcast get in touch with you, because you're absolutely right. Our thoughts control the actions in our bodies, and we can rewire a lot of the neurology that's going on in here. And we can change how we're feeling, and then how we feel changes what we do. And then what we do brings more confidence, and all builds on one another. So I know that in 2023, I'm going to be getting way back into much better shape than I've been in the last couple of months. I tend to go through those little peaks and valleys, but now I'm finding myself approaching 54. And I'm like, I can't do those peaks and valleys anymore, Chris. So definitely I'll be reaching out to you as well. So thank you, Jane. I'm going to put you backstage for a second. Don't go anywhere, because I still want to have a little chat with you. It's been brilliant. Thank you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Unfiltered Experience. Sans Scott Goyette. We appreciate you, Scott. We missed you, Scott. But what a beautiful, beautiful conversation tonight. You know, the number one thing that we really have to be grateful for in our life is our health, right? When you think about everything else, you know, we think about, oh, I want money and I want fame and I want this and I want that and I want love and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, if you're not healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually, what is that all for? More money to get more stress. You know, I've talked to millionaires, billionaires, rock stars, actresses, actors, music, all these different people who have achieved what it is that they wanted to go achieve. But at the end of the day, they're like, Chris, it works for a minute. It works for a minute. The money's great. The cars are great. The fame's great. Whatever. The awards are great. But at the end of the day, if they don't have their health, then they're sitting there miserable, and they're trying to band-aid themselves to continue going, to keep the flow going of all this money and all this other stuff. When ultimately they get to the point where they're like, I would give up all the things that I have today in order to buy back a few years of my health. And I had somebody tell me that recently, a world famous inspirational speaker. And basically it said, you know, I would trade all the things that I've accomplished in my life to have better health and to go back and have more moments with my family. God, I feel like I'm having a stroke. Don't do that. So yeah, I want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and really looking at the choices that you're making. Are you getting enough water? I mean, Jesus Christ, I talk to people all day long as a coach, and I'll sit there and I'll talk about what's your self-care, what's your hydration, what's your nutrition, what's your exercise, what's your sleep, and are you getting a little bit of sunshine every single day? 5 things, sleep, nutrition, hydration, vitamin D, and exercise. Go out there and do that. If you love yourself and you want to go out there and accomplish so many different things in your life, it starts here. It starts right here between your ears. It starts right here. If you're stressed out about something and you're not communicating to somebody, it's your fault. You're the idiot. You're sitting there hoping, wishing, and praying that they should know better. They should know that I'm in pain. They should know that I'm frustrated. No, it's your responsibility. Open your mouth and have a conversation and say, hey, listen, can I talk to you for a second? I'm having a bit of an issue with something that's going on. I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Most of the time when people go talk to people about the stress that they're causing, half the time they find out it's something that the other person's doing that the other person isn't even realizing. So you got this vicious cycle of insanity with nobody saying anything and both people hoping, wishing, and praying that someday it's going to get better. It's asinine. It's asinine. If something isn't making you happy, if something isn't up to code, think about it. You know, do I need to stay with this person? Do I need to stay at this job? Do I need to continue tolerating these things? We've talked about tolerations on the show so much. The fact that you're tolerating so much, go write on a list what you're tolerating from yourself, what you're tolerating from others, and what you're tolerating from inanimate objects. And take those and then really try to dissect and whittle down some of those tolerations, release some of that stress, take better care of yourself, monitor your sleep. You guys know I wear an Oura ring, so I monitor my sleep all the time. I see what I eat. I see how it affects my deep sleep, my REM sleep, all the different things that go into it. It's an investment. It was a couple $100, but guess what? I'm worth it. I'm worth it because at the end of the day, if I'm not operating at optimal efficiency, how great of a dad am I going to be? How great of a husband am I going to be? How great of a coach am I going to be? How great of a TV show host? That's eventually a podcast show host am I going to be? Right? So we got to take responsibility for that. And we can't blame other people for those things. And we can't wait for somebody else to come save us. It starts today. So stay along with me, stay along with the Unfiltered Experience. We're going to continue to provide this amazing content for you. So reach out to Jane, take accountability, Go take that free offer and, see what it does, and let us know how that impacts you. Right back into the show. You guys know we have the unfilteredexperience.com. Go to www.theunfilteredexperience.com. Go to our Facebook page and type in there when you see the show where Jane has been in here. Say, hey, I took advantage of that free offer, and I started doing the breath work, and I started doing the affirmations, and started taking more care of what I was eating and hydration. And let us know in a couple of weeks how you're feeling. And I'm guaranteeing you're going to be feeling a hell of a lot better. And what better time to start taking care of yourself than before the beginning of the year, so that you start the year kick ass and you start yourself fresh. That's what we want for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for being here. Thank you. We'll be back again next Friday night, as always, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, www.theunfilteredexperience.com. Go check it out. I can even put it up on the screen for you if I remember where it's at. There it is. Thank you. And let us know who you would like to see on the show, what type of topics you would like to see having on the show. Scott and I had a little brainstorming session recently, and we're going to change a little bit of the flow and the structure of the show. We're going to make it a little bit more concise. We're going to shorten it up a little bit to continue to bring you the power and the impact of the information and the love that we have for you guys, because together we can make this world a more amazing place by taking care of ourselves first. So I love you guys. We'll see you next time. We love Scott. Have fun in Croatia, Scott. We'll see you next time here on the Unfiltered Experience. And Tom says, great message, amazing information, Jane. Good evening. And we already did these things, right? And then Ray says, speaking of mental health, I finally started working on mine, and it's made a world of difference. There you go. Right there. You wish you'd have done it sooner, right? All right, go be brilliant. I love you guys. Go make the world a much better place, and we'll see you here next time on the Unfiltered Experience. I'm